Okay, we are recording and we're ready to get this party started. So, okay, so what I want to cover today is three main things, and then obviously I want to open this up for Q&A for anybody that's got specific questions. But I think we've seen a lot of stuff come through the support tickets here in the last few days, so it's really cool. We have definitely run into some issues here that were unanticipated, and I apologize for that. I'll cover those, let you know what to expect, all that. Obviously, this is software development, so it doesn't always go smoothly. One of the things I want to kind of bring up is some history here. We've actually been running this type of technology since around 2011. We've been using it for our for all of our commercial customers. And it's been, in the last few years, it's really been the only thing that's moved the needle. So when we first started, we called it Rainmaker. So if you guys have heard reference to Rainmaker, that is the predecessor software to SitePop. And it was only a desktop. It only ran on Windows, and that was it. There was no Mike says there's no audio. I think that might be on your end, Mike. Let me just type that to him. As other people can hear. Okay, so anyway, Rainmaker. Ted, thanks. Yeah, okay. I know my audio's on, so I think it's on Mike's. The recording will come through, so if he needs to rewatch it, that's cool. Anyway, so Rainmaker was a desktop version. SitePop, as you know, this is a much more evolved piece of software. It runs on mobile devices. It also runs on the Macs. So it's much more universal. It's also much more difficult to keep everything connected. So when software does updates, like when Windows does updates, now we've got 4 platforms that are doing updates. Every once in a while, those updates are going to break something. And that means we have to go back and reprogram and do some stuff like that. And that's what's going on right now. It was unfortunate it happened right when a bunch of you guys hopped in here and got in on Todd Spears' launch. And I apologize for that. If it goes on, it's only been going on for a couple of days, which is kind of typical. If it does much more than that, we will credit you guys and make sure that, if anybody's had any difficulties, we'll make sure that we make up for that. So anyway, what I want to cover is the apps that are crashing. There's a couple of versions of the iOS software. When you load it, you plug in your code, and then all of a sudden it disappears. You can't bring it back up. We are aware of that issue. That's an iOS update issue. We should have that resolved hopefully today. So if any of you guys are experiencing that, again, I apologize for that one, and it should be resolved today. Also, some people are running into different problems with the Android devices, and also with Windows devices not connecting to the control panel. It's not that they're not connected. Usually it'll say connected right on the device, and it's just a matter of it's not showing up in the control panel. So it's an issue of the app communicating with our back end. I can assure you, though, the projects are connected and running. We can see that. It's a reporting issue to the front end. So all of these things, these are very common problems. We've run across this. Like I said, we've been doing this back since about 2011, 2012, and we always have software updates that we've got to keep up with, and they break things. So anyway, it's always temporary. Doesn't hurt and doesn't affect anything. But we've got a lot of support questions coming through about that, so I just wanted to address that up front. This is not like a normal thing that you should expect all the time. It's a thing that happens every once in a while. Okay, so anyway, another thing is if you have a project, this is another support ticket I saw from several people. When you have a project and let's say you want to stop it and you hit the stop button and you still see searches going on for it, that's normal because searches are queued up. When searches are queued, just because you stop it, all you're doing is you're stopping it from queuing new searches. But the searches that are already in queue, they're going to continue to run. So keep that in mind. I've saw several support questions based on that. We ran into a problem. If you had an issue with the address lookup, that was a problem. We ran out of quota. We didn't realize that we had a quota on the API, so we just had to increase that. Thank you guys for alerting us to that. We took care of that, so that's no longer an issue. Okay. Another thing, if you guys have free email addresses like Yahoo and Hotmail, a lot of times those emails get blocked. So if you're trying to use our reset password, a lot of times those emails are not going to get through. So if that's the case, just go ahead and put a support ticket in. We're happy to reset your passwords for you if that's the case. But if you try that and you don't get an email, it's not because the system's broken, it's because your email address is just getting blocked out there. There's all kinds of firewalls and things that prevent emails from getting through to those kind of emails. If you've got a Gmail account, we never have a problem with that. If you've got a regular domain mail, generally there's no problems with that unless you're on blacklists and things of that nature, but typically not. All right, so let's get more into, I can do Q&A if you guys have any specific questions, but I wanted to address those right up front because a lot of people are having the same issues. So wanted to make sure that we got that under control. Okay, so let's talk next about, and by the way, that was the first thing I wanted to cover. I said I had 3 things. The first thing was the common things that are going on right now and what's going on with that. Second thing is best uses. We have seen a lot of people using the software now, and we know what the best ones are doing and the best results that they're getting. And there's Jimena. She just hopped on. She actually just sent me an email this morning about a client, and she said, well, how many did they have? How many results? I'll unmute you there.
Yeah, so he was an SEO client for a while, and then he canceled. And when he canceled, you know, he went down, obviously. He had like 6 page 1 rankings in June. And then in July, I put him at the beginning of July in the software, and we just pulled his stuff yesterday, and he had 87 page 1 rankings.
Yeah, that is absolutely awesome.
That was crazy.
So even though you guys can't see, like if the reporting is off, the thing is still running in the background, and it's doing what it's meant to do. And what that is, the concept behind this, it's not made, we didn't make this to push specific keywords. That game in SEO is kind of over. If you guys are like targeting specific keywords and just hammering the shit out of them, that game is long gone. What you've got to do now is you have to make Google think that your site is valuable and it's got brand recognition and people know about it and it's getting traffic from other sources. So that's really the name of the game. And when you do that, it raises all your keywords, just like what Jimena's just said. You know, she said, what was it, 87 keywords now on the first page because of this kind of technology. And what we've seen is the people that are connecting very specific keywords to brand and location that already have traction, those are killing it. Those are absolutely killing it. And I'll show you, I'll share my screen here in a minute, and I'll show you like an example of what I'm talking about and how to discover, you know, which keywords are right to do that with and all of that. But that's the concept. The concept is getting Google to understand that people know your brand and that the brand is connected to keywords. So when you put your keywords in, you'll notice there's a brand section where you put your company name. That's your brand. And you can put multiple brands in there. Like, for instance, if you were promoting a dental office, they might have 4 or 5 dentists. Each one of those dentist names is going to be a brand for that office. So you can put those in. You can rotate, the software will rotate those. And how it does it, I'm sure you guys watch the webinars and stuff, but you might not have caught this. What the software does, and this is where it leaves absolutely no footprint. There's some people that were concerned about a footprint. Believe me, this thing is so randomized, it's ridiculous. It will never do the same thing twice. So what it does, it takes one of your keywords that you put in, it runs a search for it. When it doesn't find it, here's where the magic happens. When it doesn't find the keyword, it will actually bounce back to Google and it will revise the search box. So it will it'll grab randomly one of your brands and it will plug it into the keyword combination. And then it reruns the search. Now, most of you should come up with almost any keyword in your brand combination, but you want to make sure of that by actually running it in Google and making sure that you do come up. If you don't come up, this doesn't help. Like if you're putting keywords in that you don't come up for, even with your brand connected to it, this isn't going to help. All this is going to help for this to work, it has to have a listing that it can click through to. Once it clicks through, it's going to do regular user activities on your site. It's going to scroll the pages. It's going to do random clicks. This is something that we recognize from looking at the patents of stuff that they're looking at as signals. We actually click on the pages where there's no links. I mean, you probably think that's crazy, right? Why the hell would you do that? Because that's what normal people do. That's when I say this thing doesn't leave a footprint. It's doing random clicks. So, and the reason for that, you might think, what the hell is that for? People scroll a page reading it and they follow it with their mouse and they accidentally click on parts of the page where there's no links. I'm sure you've done that. I do it all the time. Like I'm following along with my mouse and my finger will just get heavy on it and it'll just click it. So we actually do that. So that's what's going on when it's growing or scrolling through your site. It's actually taking inventory of your internal links and it's clicking through to them to show Google, hey, somebody found something that was interesting, they liked it, and then they close the browser out at the end. That's why we ask for your contact page, because it's very standard for somebody to get to the end of a web session and end it on a contact page. They found what they wanted, they contacted the person, and now they're done. They close the browser out. So when you get signals like that going through to Google, Google starts associating, oh, when somebody's looking for this particular keyword, I know what brand they're looking for. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to start pushing that brand to the top. So that's how, when I talk about the magic, that's the magic in this thing. That's the real key. That's the secret sauce behind this thing. So when you're adding your projects, make sure you put brand variations in there. Brand variations that you will come up for. One of them that's an absolute no-brainer is your domain name. You could put that in as a company name because that's brand. I think we call it company name, but those are really brand variations. Now on to keywords. I've got a lot of questions now about geo-modifying keywords to get really good results. The answer to that, when somebody asks me, should I geo-modify and should I use city, state, or city and state, it's kind of a loaded question. You want to use the one that you come up for, and then once you come up for it, once those keywords start coming up, you can actually go back and revise your keywords and then push other ones up. And I'll show you that in the SEM Rush report, how to figure that out. But the short answer to whether you should put city, and state is basically the one that you'll come up for first. those are the signals. We're trying to get signals through to Google that people are searching for you, clicking through, and having a good user experience. So if you're not coming up for the particular keyword, it's going to add the brand to it. So just go and actually run those searches in Google and make sure that you come up at least within the first couple pages, because you really, really should. You know, if you don't come up with a keyword in your brand connected, or just for even your brand by itself, you don't come up in Google in the first few pages, you've got bigger issues than this software is going to solve. You know, it might be the fact that you're just brand new, you just put the site up, that's not an issue. But if the site's been up for a while and you don't come up for your brand, that's a signal of a bigger issue. You might actually have the site banned. This is not going to fix that kind of stuff. So when I get to the third section of this and I start talking about the agencies and reselling of this, that's one of the things I'll show you how to look for and make sure that you don't take on the wrong client and have a disaster. But anyway, that's kind of the strategy, the underlying strategy behind this, is to bring attention to your site for particular keywords and make the connection of the brand. That's, like I said, you know, that's the secret sauce behind this whole thing. So those brand variations are really important. One of the things I've had people complain about when they say this thing doesn't work, and I look at what they're doing, most of the time they're putting generic keywords in that they don't even rank with their brand attached to it. And if this doesn't have an ability to click through, then you don't get the benefit out of it. So you want to make sure the keywords that you do put in, you're going to come up for them. You're going to rank for those. So that's really, really important. So, okay, so let me just share my screen here, and I'll get to your questions in the chat box here in just a minute, and we will open this up at the end for any questions. You guys can pop out on the line and pretty much ask me anything. But I'm going to share my screen here with you guys, and I'm on Google. So I live in Huntington Beach. So what I did, I just put in Huntington Beach plumber here just to see who would come up. And I notice, you know, there's a guy here, cole-plumbing.com. He's paying to advertise, but he's not here. He's not in the 3-pack, and I don't see him in the results either. So he's not here in the results. He's paying at the top, but he's not showing up. So I'm going to run him in SEMrush, and I put this in. He only ranks for one keyword. You know, Coal Services, Orange County. It doesn't even have anything to do with plumbing. So I'm assuming he's new. He's only got 37 backlinks. He's probably just getting started. But this is probably not a customer you want to take on. If you're an agency and you run a search like this and there's nothing here, and this is desktop, you can also go over to mobile and it will run the same thing in mobile and tell you, you know, how their rank is on mobile. See, nothing. This is not a good customer for you to take on. So going back over here, let's look here. Okay, we have Crandall's, we have Anthony's, and Orange Coast Plumbing. Those are the guys that are dominating the 3-pack. Let's see who's not. And notice there's big brands. Yelp is really hard to beat. You've got these big brands at the top. That you see that a lot in real estate. Home Advisor, that's another one. There's the Crandalls, they were up at the top. But here, number 10, Gears Plumbing. This guy's in the number 10 spot. He could get a lot more traffic if he was at the top. So let's go back over to SEMrush. Let's go back to desktop. Okay, and I'm gonna run his in here. Okay, so gearsplumbing.com. Now I'll show you the difference. This is a really good prospect if you were selling this as a service to them. Because notice they come up perfectly for all the stuff with gears in it. They come up number 1. But look at this, plumber, Huntington Beach. We just saw them at number 10. This says they're number 11. So it's not perfectly in sync, but that is a perfect keyword. These guys have brand recognition. Google's already made the connection. They're just on page 2. So this is the perfect keyword for SitePop to nail up to the top really, really quickly. And when it does this, it's going to pull a whole bunch of other keywords up with it. So another thing about the keywords, you get to put 12 keywords into SitePop. If you don't want to put 12 in, you don't have to. You can put less keywords in, but keep in mind, the less keywords you put in, the more searches there's going to be for those particular keywords. So if you're concerned with footprints, use all 12, because it will mix them up. It'll mix the brand variations, and you'll have a really, really light mixture, or you'll have a heavy mixture and a light search for the same terms. That's another question I get a lot, is how many searches is right? People don't want to overdo it. It would be very hard if you were using all 12 keywords, even if the keywords weren't ranking, just put them in there just as placeholders. Maybe you want to rank for them. So you can rank for keywords that take a longer time. You just don't see results really quickly. I'm showing you how to get results really fast here. If you take a keyword, any keyword that is on page 2, page 3, this has been known to push those up really, really quickly. Now, again, there's competition in there. You know, I'm not going to say that this is going to push a national keyword that's got ultra competition up. That's another thing. This is not just for local keywords. This works on national keywords. We have a lot of customers that are not local. We're using this on them, and it's working really well. Now, back to the number of keywords. If you have a site that has naturally a lot of searches, you can get away with a lot more searches from SitePop without being noticed, without having any kind of suspicion at all. If you've got a brand new site, that's where you want to dance lightly. Now, the projects, they default to 500 searches. You know, that's the default. Now, for you to get 500 searches, I'm gonna go ahead and stop share here. You can get 500 searches by putting 3 devices to the network. This is another thing I wanted to cover a little more in depth, because I think there's a lot of people that don't understand the devices, how many you need, and what their function is. When you have a project will allow you by default up to 500 searches a month, and that's in the basic and the pro. The agency, you can adjust that. But in the normal default, there's 500 searches allotted per project. Now, for you to actually get the 500 searches, you need 3 devices connected, because each device connected will give you about 166 searches per month. Now, those searches don't come from your device. When your device, and when I talk about a device, it could be any mobile phone, basically anything that's running our app. Could be a Windows machine, it could be a Mac computer, it could be an iOS software on any kind of mobile phone, or Android, including tablets, iPads, anything that will connect to the internet and either run iOS or Android. And when I say any device, I'm talking about modern devices. We've had some people that pulled some stuff out of old drawers and dusted them off, and the software was so old our apps are not compatible with that. So it's got to be stuff, you know, like out of the century. You know how quickly they update software and things. We don't have the budget to develop on every version of everything. So we've got to do, you know, the stuff that's in the last couple of years, the last few years. So any Android or any iOS that's running current software should work. I just got a message here that the iOS devices have been fixed, so that is great news. I know a lot of people were struggling with that over the last couple of days and not understanding what was going on. They thought they were having an issue, but it was really on our side. So that apparently has been fixed. So great news on that one. Anyway, so back to where I was. I got off track there. Okay, so connecting the devices. Okay, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about the devices, how they connect and what they do. When you use a device for a project, you put the project code in. Now, when you put the project code in and any email address attached to that project, what that does is in our control panel, that says, okay, this project has a device, so we need to allot 166 searches a month to this project. Your device doesn't necessarily search your project. Your device becomes a device in our network to search all the other projects. Not to say that it won't search yours as well, because the reason that you put your address in, it gives the latitude and longitude so we know where the business is, because we want to hit it with searches heaviest from where the business location is. So we look at, what devices are out in a 10-mile radius, and we'll hit it hardest from those first. And then we go out another 10 miles and we look for the devices that are next closest, and we'll use those secondarily. And it just keeps going out. So if you're in another country and you're concerned that you're going to get, all of your searches from the US, that's not the case. It's going to look for the devices that are closest. Now, in some small countries and very remote locations, we do have some users springing up there. What we have found when we started the network and we've used our beta testers, we didn't have a bunch of devices even here in the US, and it still worked. Basically, we had a reseller, or one of our first resellers put this into play in the San Diego area. And I think with 9 devices connected, he was getting phenomenal results off of just 9 devices. So you don't need a tremendous amount of devices near you to get this to work. So don't worry if you're off in a remote location. If you can plug in, 3 customers and 9 devices, you should be off to the races. And then it's going to look outside of there. It'll look, to the countries right next to you, and it will pull from there, and you'll grow very naturally. So again, it works in remote locations. That's not a problem. Let's see. Okay, so that should answer the question about the devices. Your device becomes part of our network, and you get searches from all the devices in the network potentially, but you will get them from the closest proximity first. Like let's say you're in Chicago. You should get a bunch of searches from that general location, and then you'll start going out and out. You might get searches from Canada. You might get searches from Mexico. Hell, you might get a search from Australia, but you won't get a tremendous amount of them. It will be all mixed in a very natural fashion. So again, to eliminate footprint. Another thing, these are all real user devices. Like when you put your device in the network, your phone is actually going to run searches behind the scenes for other people, just like you normally would. How many times a day do you pull up your phone and run a search for something, just randomly? This basically will run about 16 to 17 searches off of any device in any given day. And again, it's not an exact number. They're all very, very randomized. So that's kind of some background on what's going on and how it's working, why you need to connect more devices. We are actually working on that. The reason that you need 3 devices is not all of these devices are on all the time. Sometimes you'll be off during the night. If you can leave your device running 24/7, it's better. But I know a lot of people, if you have it on a desktop, you might run your desktop just during daylight hours. That's okay. We're working now that we've got a huge number of devices just added to the network, we're going to try and loosen the reins on that. So even if your devices aren't connected 24/7, you're still getting the search volume from those devices. So we're working on that. We're also working on stabilizing. We had a few customers, and we don't know the reason why really. It was in the programming. There was some kind of a script deal that was out of sequence when we were randomizing the number of searches. And we're working on getting that solved. But we had some people that were entering projects that weren't getting very many searches, and others were getting more than they should. So if that's the case, know that we are aware of that, and we're working to solve that issue as well. Okay, so let's see. Let me take a look at some of the questions here. We've got quite a number of questions that have come in. So give me just a second to look through here. Okay. A lot of these say thanks, clearing up issues. Let's see. Ted says, does it work for national campaigns? Yeah, I covered that a little bit. It works just as well for national campaigns as it does for local campaigns. The same thing applies with SEMrush, and I'll show you that again in a minute. I'll go a little deeper into that because we're going to get into the agency stuff next, and I'm going to show you more on how to research in SEMrush and find exactly what keywords to be using. Let's see. Yes, this is being recorded, so you guys will have access to this. I'll put it up in the members area for you. Let's see. Okay, somebody's asking, do I have to come up on page 1 through 5 or just on page 1? Yeah, we will randomly search down deeper. You know, we don't just go on the first page. So if you come up on page 2, 3, 4, that's fine. What you don't want is you don't want to put a keyword in where you don't come up at all, or you come up, 10 pages deep. The easier it is, it's kind of unnatural for somebody to search that many pages deep on a regular basis. So keep that in mind. The higher you can come up, the more natural that this will look. Okay. Here, this is a really good question from Diana. Does this skew our Google Analytics? Yes, it will, because your Google Analytics is going to show this as a real user. So what that can do is that can actually decrease your conversion numbers falsely. So if you're looking at conversion numbers and now all of a sudden you've got 500 new visitors that are not buying, I mean, obviously these apps are not going to buy your stuff. They're going to give you the good positive user experience, so Google raises you and you get more real visitors and they will buy your stuff. But yes, it will it will skew that. So just keep that in mind, and especially if you're dealing with customers, let them know, let them be aware of this, that if they're looking at conversion numbers, there might be a little bit of a disparity or a skew. It might not look as good. But as long as sales are going up, that's really your concern here. Sales are going up. Traffic is going up. That's what this thing's doing. Facebook pixel stats. Yeah, another person a while back had asked me, they had a concern about, is this going to drive their retargeting costs up? And it should not drive retargeting costs up. Although these are real users, the browser that we're using inside the device, we actually install a secondary browser that's only used by the app. So this is not the same browser that you use when you search on the phone. And the Pixel does not go cross-browser. So when the Pixel is installed, it's not installed on the browser you're using on the phone. So there's no worry of driving up retargeting costs with that. It's not going to be affected by that. Okay, let's see. Does the system mix brand name and keyword? Yes, that's a big part of what I was talking about here in the beginning. If your keywords don't come up, it revises the search and it will randomly grab one of your brands and add it to that. So it's revising the search phrase. Okay, Mike wants to know if there's an alternative to SEMrush that doesn't cost $100 a month. I don't know, Mike. I'm not sure. I've used a lot of tools out there, but I've never seen a tool that will give you access to what you rank for other than SEMrush. I wish there was. If you guys know of something, please share that with me, because I know a lot of people, you know, they're concerned with that. If you're doing this as an agency, like, you know, we do this for customers, that SEMrush tool, I use it on a daily basis. I use that thing every day. It's invaluable to my business. So for me, it's worth the $100. If you guys are just doing this for your own stuff, or let's say you've got some affiliate sites, you might be able to get away with the information it gives you in the free version, although it'll only allow you to run so many searches. If you're just doing it for yourself, you might be able to do that. Or you might be able to get a free trial. I have a link at internetdominators.com/SEMrush, and I'm pretty sure that will give you a free trial for like 7 or 14 days. And like I said, if you're just doing it for yourself, you might be able to get all the data you need in that 7 to 14 days and then be on with it. So that's a solution for that. The other thing is, you know, if you don't want to spend the $100 a month, you can get the same data if you just run the searches like I did in the beginning. You can run the searches, append your brand to the search, see what you come up for. And it's a lot of work doing it that way. That's a very manual way to do this. Okay. Okay, so Lori asked for the gears plumbing keyword. Would we add gears to the keyword plumbing Huntington Beach? You could, but like you saw in the example, they're coming up for plumber Huntington Beach already. So you don't need to add the gears to the keyword. Any keyword that you're ranking on page 2 or even the bottom of page 1, if you have traction, that's what I call a traction keyword. You can put those traction keywords in just as is. They don't need extra modifiers to them. They don't need brand connection. Our software will only revise the search and connect the brand if it doesn't find you. But if it finds you, like SEMrush says, hey, we're on page 2 for plumber Huntington Beach. Perfect. Put it in as a keyword and that will nail it. If you weren't there and you were after the keyword just, plumber, then yeah, I would say add Huntington Beach to it. If you don't come up for that, it will add gears to it automatically. So that's hopefully that kind of clears that up. But any keyword that already has traction ranking on the bottom of page 1, page 2, page 3, you can just put them in as is as a keyword. They don't need any modifiers. Your modifier will automatically come in if needed from your brand. But if you want to rank, like let's say you do keyword research, SEMrush is a great tool for keyword research as well. If you do keyword research and you see that your keyword is ranking without the geo modifier and you're getting and your keyword research says the keyword with the geo modifier ranks or gets a lot of traffic, you might want to focus on that variation. That's where it's kind of back to the original question, do I add city and state or just city or state? Your keyword research should reveal what the most powerful keywords are that have the most search volume. So ultimately, those are the ones you want to drive to the top. But you do it in a very roundabout way here by connecting authority through people knowing about your stuff, connecting the brands to it. So, okay, let's see. Okay, this one comes up a lot. This is a great question. This comes from Groggy. Can one device run more than one project? No, unfortunately it can't. Only one project can be connected per device. We've had some people that are running VPNs and VPSs and they're trying to run multiple versions and multiple apps. If you can get it to do it, more power to you, but it's not something that we can support technically. We really have not built it for that purpose. But one app, one device, one app, one project. That's how it's meant to be. Okay, let's see here. Mike, can I get a transcript of what I'm saying so it can be categorized and put into a PDF? I know there's things out there. Actually, Jimena answered your question there. Timmy.com or Rev.com. Thank you. That will answer the question. I know there's probably a lot of stuff in here that you don't need. I'm kind of going all over the place, but you could certainly categorize that, and that would be awesome. If you do that, send me a copy. I'll put it up for everybody. That would be great. Okay, what if you're on an island and going for a national campaign? Ted, that makes sense for you because you live on Hawaii. Again, national campaigns. If you're on an island like Hawaii, obviously there's not going to be a lot of devices on that island. Your next remote location is going to be the mainland. So you would naturally get searches basically from everywhere because you've got Australia below, you've got the US, you've got, everything. You're surrounded by places with devices. And in the case of national campaigns, it's just a difference in the keywords. You just don't have any geo modifiers. You don't care about the geo modifiers. And back to that point, if you're trying to rank national keywords, here's a little trick for you. This is some of the people that have been doing that successfully. They don't use 12 keywords. They only use, on average about 3. So what's happening is their 500 searches are focused on 3 keywords versus 12. So they're getting hit a lot harder. Now, back to whether that's safe or not, if you're on a new site that doesn't have any traffic, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you're a national company and you've got traffic already and this is a high volume searched keyword, that's perfectly safe. In fact, in the agency version, we allow you to set the search volume. You can take it from 500 up to whatever your allotment is left. You could put 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. You just have to have enough devices connected to be able to do that. Like we have a couple of MLMs that are using this, and the MLM has, they've got thousands of users, so their ability to put in devices is unlimited. So they can have, all of their users, all of their distributors add the app in and put the project code on, and now all of a sudden, they've got a whole bunch of devices at their fingertips to increase their search volume. So the bigger your site is and the more traffic it gets, the more searches you can safely send to it. We've had some people very concerned with 500 being too much. And if you're concerned with that, we haven't seen that really to be the case, even on new sites. We've used this on brand new sites, and it's worked just fine. But if you are concerned with that, and you want to lower the amount, just put one device to any given project, and it will cut it down naturally from 500 down to about 166. It shows you that right in the control panel. It shows you how many to expect based on the number of devices connected. I know, like in the beginning, I said there was some reporting errors on that. Like a lot of you have devices connected, they're connected, but it's not showing up in the control panel. Again, that doesn't mean that it's not working for you. It just means it's a temporary deal where we've just got to fix some coding from some new updates on software pieces. So, okay, let's see. Can I simply pay some folks to install the app on their phone? Absolutely, you could. I tell, like when clients ask me, how do I get 3 devices connected? Go, well, do you have a wife? Do you have kids? Do you have brothers? Do you have family? Do you have an iPad? Do you have, more than one Android device? Do you have a computer? Everybody has access to 3 devices. I can assure you, very few people left in the world don't have access to 3 electronic devices that connect on Wi-Fi and run either Android, iOS, or Windows, or Mac. It's pretty few and far between where you're going to find somebody that doesn't have 3 devices to connect. I found that I was able to buy a lot of old iPads, or not iPads, they're tablets. And what happened was some of the big phone companies like Sprint and T-Mobile, they offered these deals where you could get a tablet for free if you paid for the service for a year or 2 years. A lot of people did that. They got the free device, and then at the end of the contract, they didn't want to buy it out, so they gave them back. So there's companies that have massive numbers of these tablets that are, a year, 2 years old. They're perfectly fine for what we need to do. I've found some guys on eBay that are selling these things, and the average I've paid is about $20 to $25 a piece. And I don't know, I'll take my thing. I don't know if you can see them back there, but I'll have a whole yeah. Sorry about that. Killed my video. Anyway, right behind me, I've got a whole lineup of these things that are all connected on Wi-Fi and running, and I bought them all off of eBay. On average, 20 to 25 bucks a piece. Sometimes I'll find a guy that's got, a whole lot of them. He'll sell you, 10, 50, 100 of them if you want them. And the prices typically go down. Okay, let's see. Okay, a couple of really good questions here that I see. One is about sending traffic to YouTube for a video. Okay, you can do this, but you have to be careful, because if you don't use a keyword that's going to bring your video up and someone else's video comes up, guess who's going to get promoted? The first one that shows up is going to get the click. So if you're going to do that, you might want to put some sort of a modifier in your title tag in your YouTube video and put that same modifier into your keyword, so it keys in on your video only and not someone else's. Because keep in mind, when you put the domain in, SitePop is looking for the first instance of that domain, and that's what's going to get clicked on. So if you use YouTube as your domain, keep in mind, whatever search phrase is run by SitePop, it's going to click on the first instance of YouTube that comes up in the search. So if that's not your video, you're going to be clicking on someone else's. It's not going to help you. It's going to help them. The same thing with LinkedIn. I've had some people that want to promote their sites on their pages on LinkedIn. If you make sure that your keyword is the first instance of LinkedIn that comes up, yes, it will work. Same thing for any major site. So that's really the answer. Yes, you can promote YouTube videos, but just be aware, be careful. You've got to use the right keywords to make sure you come up first. If you don't, then you're not going to get the benefit out of it. And again, same with any other network, LinkedIn, Facebook, any Web 2.0 property that you want to promote. Just make sure, again, I say it many times here because it's important. I don't want you to yell at me saying, hey, I promoted somebody else's site because I didn't use it right. Okay, so let's see. Here's one from Jerry. I'm only getting a few searches a day and only Windows and Mac showing up on the reporting. Again, I kind of covered that in the very beginning. We've got some issues with the reporting, and also on some of the campaigns not getting as many searches as they should, and some getting more. We're working on getting the scheduling. It's a problem somewhere. There's a glitch somewhere in the scheduling. When we added a huge amount of projects on there is when that popped up. So we're working on the coding part to get that straightened out. Again, so just be patient, guys. This is software development. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. So, and like I said, we've been doing this for years. We've seen these come up, and just bear with us. We will get it figured out and get it resolved. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting some of the same questions. I've already answered those. Okay, so a couple more questions coming in about SEMrush. So I'm going to go back into that. Should we expect our rankings to fall if we stop running a project? Now, that's kind of a loaded question. It always has been with SEO. Some people will, think that they're going to stop ranking immediately, and that's not the case all the time. By all means, you should drop if you stop something, but it's a matter of when, and it's a matter of what you did first, what else it did. The whole idea behind SitePop is to get you traction. It's to pop your site to the top so it gets real traffic, and then it becomes a snowball effect. So let's say you use SitePop, you got your site up, and now you're getting 10 times more traffic than you've ever gotten before, and now SitePop becomes just a small portion of that. If you stop it, it might not be enough to really slow down the snowball. So it really kind of depends. Like I said, it's a loaded question of whether that's going to be the case or not. Same thing with traditional SEO. It's the same thing. If you've done a phenomenal job for 5 years and you've done link building, and now people are naturally linking to you and everything is snowballed, and you stop what you were originally doing, doesn't mean the snowball's going to stop entirely. Doesn't mean that Google's all of a sudden going to go, oh, well, yeah, this isn't as good anymore. It's all about the user interaction with that. Okay, let's see. Chris asking, how far would you push the number of devices to try and get very good top results for national and local terms? Again, it's based on the volume of traffic on the site already. If you've got a brand new site, I wouldn't push it very hard. I wouldn't use more than the 500 that is by default. We made it that way. We made it 512 keywords and 5 brand variations for a reason. That particular mix would not hurt anything. So if you go outside of that, then you're taking it upon yourself to make the decision of, yeah, I have enough traffic to justify this. Let's just use 3 keywords. So again, that's up to you. But again, look at the volume of search. You want to keep things natural. If you look in Google and you're going after a keyword that's only getting 100 searches a month, and all of a sudden now you pour 500 on that single keyword, that's going to look a little obvious. So, just common sense, guys. S comes down to common sense. That is something you want to make sure that you remain in the realm of common sense. Okay, so let's see. Okay, when you start ranking on page 1, should you stop the campaign? No, not at all. In fact, what you should do is you should go back to SEMrush or just put in more difficult keywords. The idea is to keep pushing them up. It's a snowball effect. And when keywords rise to the top, they don't just rise on their own. They haul the other ones with them. I use the analogy of it's like the tide in the harbor. When the tide comes up, all the ships rise, not just 1 or 2, not just the couple you're looking at. They all go up because the tide rose. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to rise the tide of your keywords to take them all up. If some are more important to you, look and see what happens. Like, let's say you run SitePop for 3 months or even 2 months or a month, and you've pushed the keywords up that you started with. Now it drug the other ones up. So take a look at them and now replace them out and then pull those up. Keep pushing it up. Keep the snowball rolling. I don't think this is something that you would want to stop. Certainly, you could get a lot of value out of this by continuing to push better and better keywords up. The first keywords that you find that you have traction for might not be that great, but it's what you have. So you work with what you have. Don't get unrealistic expectations on this stuff. That's where you can get really disappointed with the whole SEO game. You have to have realistic expectations. Push the stuff. Fight the wars you can win. If you have traction on keywords, you can win that war really easily. Push it up. See which keywords come up and just keep the game going. You've got the ultimate tool here to do that on pretty much autopilot. All you got to do is just go back, revise the keywords, and then cut this thing loose and walk away. For those of you that are watching it like a hawk, it's just like I've always told everybody that watches the rank like a hawk. You've got better things to do with your life. Put this thing in, let it run, come back in a couple of weeks, see what it's done, or look at the app, see how it's coming up. And once it pushes you up to on page 1 for everything, go back and revise the keywords. But it's not meant for you to look at 5 times a day. You're going to drive yourself nuts with that. Going in and trying to watch it like that. The water doesn't boil faster when you watch it. It's going to boil in the same time frame. Okay, can you run a bunch of tablets off the same Wi-Fi or same IP address? Yes, absolutely. That's not a problem. It's not unnatural in any way. Look at office buildings. How many devices are running inside of an office building on the same IP at any given time? Even Starbucks. How many IPs does Starbucks have? 1 probably. And how many users are in there? Throughout the day, there's thousands off the same IP. That's not a problem. That's not going to come up unnatural. Remember, your devices are only just a tiny, tiny little blip on the screen of our whole network. So we've got thousands of IPs now in our network. So the fact that, maybe a dozen or even 20 are on the same IP, it's not a problem. Okay, and if your device doesn't show up in the back office, it does not affect your rank. Like I had mentioned that earlier in the call. That's one of the things we're working on. It's just a reporting issue between the apps and the devices. If you've got the device running and it says connected, it's doing its thing, even though it's not showing up in the back office. So don't worry about that. It is working. Let's see. Okay, here's one. Should we pick the Latin lawn center of the country for national campaigns? You could do that. In fact, I wanted to address that. There's a room for an address down there where it picks up the latitude and longitude. If I've got this question from home-based businesses where they don't want to put their home address in, it's not a problem. You can just put the city or the county or even the state, and it will just grab, a general location in the center of that area, and that's fine. If you're doing a national campaign, I would put in, if you're trying to geolocate it in the nation of where, I would go for where the most users were, if you were going to do that. But it doesn't really matter if it's national. It doesn't really matter where you are in the country. You're going to get searches from all over the country anyway. It's just you're going to get more from the general location of the business. And personally, I would do that. I would put the actual business address in, even for a national campaign. Because when you think about it, even though it's not a local business, you've still got people in the general vicinity that are aware of it that might run searches. So getting more searches in the general location of the business makes sense always. So I would still use the general location. I wouldn't just arbitrarily use the center of the country for that. That's not going to really help you. Okay. Since you need more devices, do you have an affiliate program I can sell your services to so they become part of the network? Yes, we do have an affiliate program, but that's already happening. We're getting customers every day, like almost every hour now for the service. And the amount of projects that are being added and devices is just, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount and the speed at which this network is growing right now. So that's really cool. That's what we had hoped for. It's what we expected, and it's actually happening. Okay, my hosting company does not use cPanel. How do I use subdomain for the funnel with sales pages, etc. Oh, let's see. I'm not really sure what that's in reference to, the funnel. I have a funnel. What I'm going to talk about next is actually the agency version. When I get into the agency version, I'm going to share what I've created for you guys as far as a funnel to sell it. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to, but you can pretty much run that on anything. We have it for WordPress, and we also have it for Kartra. If any of you guys have a Kartra account, I've created a full funnel, a Kartra funnel. You could import right in and be ready to go. It connects the database, the shopping cart, the calendar system for scheduling appointments, the whole enchilada. It's all pre-connected. We've also just recreated it in a WordPress template. And if you've got WordPress, you can just put it in there. You don't have to have it on a subdomain. You can just put it anywhere, create your landing pages with unique URLs and use it that way. Okay, what's the ETA for the WordPress template? I should have it done today. In fact, I'm going to show it to you guys. I'll show you what we've come up with. I'm just waiting for my guy. I've got a couple of typos he needs to fix, and then he can package that up. So I'll put that up in the members area, and then I'll send you guys an email, let you know that that it's up there. Okay. CheapSEOVPS.net. Okay, they claim to have SEMrush. I don't know anything about it. If you can get like sometimes people will sell a VPS, a virtual private server, and it's got licenses to a bunch of different software on it. That might be a cheaper way to get a version of SEMrush to do this. So it's in the chat there, cheapseovps.net/VP or SEO-VPS-with-SEO-tools. That's quite a URL, but that's what it is. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of the same questions coming up here. If there's anything you guys specifically want to know that I haven't addressed yet, you can either put it back in or just come out. You can unmute yourself if you want to come out on the line. But it looks like we've pretty much got everything answered. You know, you might have come in later and didn't catch it in the beginning. We have recorded that. Bruce asks, how come the app seems to keep crashing on the iPhones? The app doesn't load up to check ranking. Is this normal? No, we've answered that a couple of times on the call already. It was a update in the iOS app that caused our app to crash, and we've got that revised. I believe they've updated that, so you might need you might get an update on your device that will fix that for you. I just got word right when we entered into this call that had been updated and it was fixed, so it shouldn't be an issue now. But if it still is, let me know. Put in a support ticket and let me know if that's still a problem for you. When you do, if you guys are submitting a support ticket with an issue, tell us what platform you're on. You know, what device you're using and what version of the software. That will really help us to troubleshoot it and identify if it's an issue on our end or if it's something that we can help you with on your side. Okay, Grant asks, wouldn't a sudden surge in searches look suspicious to Google? No, it really shouldn't look suspicious, because 500 searches onto Google for 12 different various keywords where people click through to you is not going to be something that's out of the ordinary. That's just not. If you're concerned with it, just run one device that'll get you 166 searches per month. And again, when I throw these numbers out, these are random. It's not like you're gonna get that exact number every month. You might get more, you might get a few less. On average, that's what it should come out roundabout to. But let's see, Mike, yes, you should use the support tickets versus my email address. I do go through my email, a couple times a day. But a lot of times, the support tickets go to the support team. It's, you know, a lot of times it's not stuff that I'm answering or that I even have the answer for. So a lot of times it's referenced. So I don't want to have to go back and forth and be the in-between. If you just put it in the support ticket, you'll get the answer from the appropriate person. So that would be awesome. Okay, all right, so let me get into the agency thing here. Let me share my screen again, and I'll show you guys what we have. This is the page, this is the WordPress page that we've got, and this is the way that we sell it. If we sell it as a service, we're assuming that there's two ways to use SitePop. You could sell it as a standalone service, which that's what this funnel is. Or you could add it to an existing SEO project. If you're doing SEO projects for somebody and they're not getting great results, this can really help retain them. Because like Jimena had mentioned in the beginning, she's using this now on her SEO customers, getting phenomenal results. There's no better way to retain customers and keep them happy than giving them good results. When you have a secret weapon, a tool like this to do that, you should have very good client retention. You should have very few people falling off because they're unhappy. But this particular funnel, this is meant to sell as a service. So this does not assume that you're doing SEO for the customer. This is you're going in cold. You're saying, hey, I have a local SEO booster service. It will allow you to get more traffic, leads, and sales from your website. It's just $97 a month. Now you guys can price that at whatever you want. I priced it at $97 because it's a no-brainer. It's a way to open the door to customers like with very, very little resistance. A lot of people are paying a lot of money for SEO right now and it's not getting good results. Would they want to pay another 97 bucks and make sure the rest of their money doesn't go down the hole? This will fix it. A lot of them would do that. You don't have to take on the whole SEO project. You can come in and be the hero for 97 bucks a month. Fast results, no long-term commitment. It's like all the things that's music to their ears. But then it's all of a sudden we put on the brakes. You've got to qualify to receive this offer. And then the button, the call to action, see if you qualify now. That's going to get them in your database so you can follow up with them. When they qualify now, when you add them to your database, we've created the thank you page, which is this is the sales page. So this is the guaranteed results. Thank you for your interest in our local SEO boost program. This service covers boosting up to 12 local keywords, phrases to page 1 of Google in less than 90 days. Okay, get more traffic, leads, and sales from your website again. Warning, not everyone qualifies for the service. Before accepting your order, we must evaluate your website to see if it qualifies for the service. The first step is sign up using the link below. That's where they click and they buy. And then we've got the disclaimer. You will receive a full refund if you don't qualify. But what we're doing, the way I've got this put together, is they place the order, then they schedule an appointment. They schedule a consultation, a 15-minute consultation. In the consultation, you can go over the SEM Rush results and make recommendations for keywords that they have traction for. Those are the ones you want to put in the program because you'll get the fast results. You give them exactly what you promised. That's the way to keep people happy. And then you keep them on. You say, hey, you know, we push these up. Let's revise your keywords. The more communication you have with them, the more happier they're going to be. So, you know, that's the way you get SEO customers that last forever. So anyway, it's got full instructions here. It tells them what to expect. They're going to receive a link to schedule their initial consultation. Again, at the end of that consultation, if you decide this isn't right, you just refund their money. It can also open the door for fixing other stuff. If they don't qualify, guess what? They've got problems. They need fixed. So that's, you know, it opens the door for you to offer other services to them. Okay, so again, it's got the guarantee. Here's the guarantee that I put together for this. We guarantee our SEO boost service will move at least one of your local keywords to page 1 of Google in the organic search results within 90 days. That's a pretty easy thing to fulfill with this. In the rare case that it takes longer, we will run the service for free until we reach that goal for up to a year. Now, if you look at our agency version, you're paying about $4 a month for the service. You're reselling it for $97. So your cost there for 3 months at $4, you've basically got a cost of $12 and you've pulled in $300. Could you afford to run it out another 9 months for free if you had to? I think you probably could. So anyway, that's why it just makes this an absolute no-brainer. Okay, so once they go ahead and they pay, then it takes them to the thank you page. This is where you thank them for their order. Now let's schedule your initial consultation to make sure you qualify and get your site boosted. Schedule now. You can send that to a free Calendly link to schedule an appointment. Once they schedule, here you go. Thank you for scheduling. Check your email. That's one of the typos I was referring to. It's supposed to be check your email for details. Look forward to boosting your site to the top. Notice we've got different templates here. The designer was seeing what kind of style that I liked. Okay, so there's another one. I particularly like this one. I think we're going to have them. Go with that one right out of the gate to create the funnel with. But again, we should have that up for you. If not today, it should be done over the weekend, and I'll get it up in the member site. We also have this in a Kartra funnel that is fully connected, fully functional. If any of you guys want to get into Kartra, it is an absolutely phenomenal marketing system. I tell everybody it's what Infusionsoft wanted to be. I have an affiliate link for it. It's internetdominators.com/Kartra. That's Kartra. I'll send you guys links to that and also to SEMrush as soon as we get off here. But anyway, that's the funnel. Back to SEMrush. Now, when you do the consultation, I use SEMrush. I'll run their domain name, and then this is what I do. I come over here and I look, they've got 292 keywords for me to play with here. So what I want to do there is I want to run the full report. So I click the button right here for full report. I can see all of those keywords. I can see they've also got some in Australia and in Canada. So they rank for 16 keywords in the AU and 12 in the CA. I'm not concerned with those right now, but I'm just going to export this list. So I hit export all, 292 of them. And I'm going to just open that up so you guys can see it. Okay, all right, so there is our Excel spreadsheet. So we've got keywords here. We've got position, previous position, search volume, keyword difficulty. I don't ever look at that. I don't really care. Cost per click and the actual page that is ranking. Another thing this will show you is this will show you their percentage of traffic. This is a really cool thing. When you can talk to the people about this level behind the scenes and they're like, they haven't given you access yet to anything and you know this much information about them, that kind of blows their mind. You can say, you know, were you aware that Gears Plumbing Huntington Beach, that particular keyword is bringing you 39% of your traffic? And it's a keyword that only people that know your name are coming to you from. That could be an eye-opener. That could be a shocker for them for you to bring that to their attention. You could say, you know, the next keyword down, look at the search volume. The one that's bringing you 38 or 39% of your traffic only has 90 people a month searching for it. That's kind of low. Look at this. Plumber Huntington Beach, you're not even on the first page for. There's 390 people a month searching for that. And even on page 2, that's bringing you almost 10% of your traffic. What do you think would happen to your numbers if we pushed that up to number 1? What do you think that would do? That would be some crazy growth for this company off of one movement of one keyword. So when I say I use SEMrush every day, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking for opportunity. I wouldn't give this keyword, I wouldn't give this program up for anything. You know, $100 a month might sound like a lot, but to me, without this, I'm defenseless. I have nothing to talk to them about. This information is priceless. Okay, so let me show you what I would do next. I would come over here and I would do select all, and then I go to the data tab, and I'm going to sort this. So the first thing I'm going to sort by is I'm going to sort by the position, and I want to go smallest to largest, and then I'm going to add a level. And the next level I'm going to add is I'm going to add search volume. And I'm going to go largest to smallest. You know, when I do that and I sort this list, notice I've got the ones on position 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I can look 11 to 20, that's second page. Okay, so 11, here's the one we were talking about, 390. So what I'm looking for now is I'm looking for high numbers. Plumber Newport Beach, they're number 16. 210 people a month looking for that. I could make between this keyword, and you can also highlight these so you can make this really easy for people to look at. If I came through here and I highlighted this, which keywords do you think I'm going to put in SitePop? The ones that are yellow. Look at, here's Plumber Costa Mesa. Yeah, I'm number 24. I'm on page 3. That's okay. That's worth fighting. Here's kitchen sink backs up into other side. 210 people a month. I'm on page 3. That might be a good one for me to try and push up. Okay, look at this one here. Gears. Now, this is probably one where the numbers lie. There's 480 people a month looking for gears. This could be people that don't know how to spell gears and they're just coming up with their brand name. So I don't think I would take that as something I wanted to push. Huntington Plumbing, 210 people, looks like a winner. You know, that's how I come up with my keywords. Huntington Plumbing Supply, you know, 390 people. On page 4, beginning of page 4, that one looks good. You know, this is how you do it. Simple ways to save water. I think I'd probably pass on that. Here's one, flat roof drain, Home Depot. Again, I'm going to pass on that. I want stuff that is like meaningful. Here's one, you know, actually number 47 on page 4. So again, and then, you know, I'm only looking at high numbers here. You might come up here and you might find numbers that are lower, like Plumbing Supply Orange County, number 5. There's still 110 people. So yeah, those look good. Let's take those. Let's push them from number 5 up to number 1 and see what happens. You know, again, this is how I come up with the keywords. This is how I tell if I'm going to take on a client or not. If I've got nothing to work for here, if nothing comes up and I've got no conversation with the customer, I'm not ready to work with that customer. That customer's not ready to work with me yet. That's somebody I'm just going to give them their money back and I'm going to move on to the next one. You can see the number of people out there. This Gears Plumbing Company, I know them because I've lived in Huntington Beach for like over 40 years. And these guys have been around since I was a kid. These guys, I could walk in their door right now. I've bought stuff from them for the last 20 years for my house. I could walk in with this report. I could say, hey, do you guys know that you're not doing very well online, you know, for organic search? And I could show them this. I'd say, look, I have a program for 97 bucks a month. I can help push these keywords up and get you more traffic for that. For plumbing supply, Orange County plumbing supply, plumber, Huntington Beach. I could change your life with that one. You know, that would get you like 4 times the amount of traffic from organic that you're getting right now off of only the people that know your name. That's a pretty solid conversation. That's a pretty solid guarantee. So this really, when I say this is easy to sell, I'm not kidding. If you've got the tools like SEMrush, a combination of SEMrush and SitePop, and you've got something that will knock it out of the park. So, you know, and then if you want to just prospect, I'm talking to Todd Spears. Most of you probably know him. He has a program that they're doing a tweak to. They're rewriting the program, and I'm not supposed to say anything till it's ready, but it's going to be a prospecting tool to help you find people and send them this report to prospect them. So the agency version of this thing is going to make a lot of money for a lot of people. If, you know, all you have to do, you've got to be willing to do the work, and you've got to be willing to, you know, supply the service and connect with the customers and talk to them. But this is a huge opportunity. Okay, let me look at my, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover here. If you guys have specific questions, you want to come out and ask away, go ahead. We don't, Mike's asking if we have flyers. We don't really have flyers connected, or created rather. Excuse me. We don't have flyers created. I've never really been a big proponent of flyers. Typically, if I'm going to walk in and hand a flyer to somebody, I'm either going to make a sale or I'm not. And a flyer is not going to help me. What I want is, I want a email address that I can automatically follow up with. Very rarely would I see a reason that a flyer would need to be passed out. What you're trying to do is you're trying to collect prospects. And I can almost assure you that the second you're out of sight, the flyer's going in the trash. And that really doesn't help you much. It's just an expense, a needless expense. I would prefer to get an email address, find out if someone's interested. Generally, if they're interested and it's the right guy and you present that kind of information to, they're going to say, when can we start? If it's not the right guy and you need to follow up, then if you can collect an email address and automate the follow-up, you'll waste much less time. Let's see. Edison asked, can this get cheaper pay-per-click rates with Google? I don't really know. I don't really see how that would work. I'm not really familiar with the the thought process behind that. If there is a way with page relevance, if that's the case, then potentially, I can't say for sure that I've seen it, but it will show better engagement. You know, and this is only if your landing page is coming up in the search. A lot of times people will use a landing page for pay-per-click that is not in the search engines. You know, a lot of times they're thrown up quickly, they're not really promoted. In many cases, they don't even have the right tags in them. They don't care. They're just pushing pay-per-click traffic to the landing page. But if you had landing pages in your site, or you had pages in your site that you're pushing pay-per-click traffic to, and you increase the relevance that way, then I could definitely see how that could potentially do that for you. Okay, Lori, a bad client website in SEMrush again. That would be a site that is not showing any keyword traction. And basically, if you run an SEMrush report and they don't have any keywords showing, or they just have one and maybe it's just a brand keyword, they probably have bigger issues that this isn't going to solve. If you look and you run a keyword rush or SEMrush report rather, and they've got 10, 20, 30 keywords ranking, you know they're just getting started. And that's okay. You can, you know, like I said, if you've got something to work with, you know, it works really well. If it's a brand new site and they're not ranking for anything, but there's not any issues of why they're not ranking, this could definitely get them on the radar. You know, if you, because Google, once Google associates you and gets you in the index, that's another thing. If you go to Google itself and you put in site colon and then the domain name, it will show you if the site ranks. Like I'll show you, for instance, going back, I guess I got to share my screen. Give me just a second here. Okay, so if you're in Google, remember that one we looked at? We looked at coal-plumbing.com. That site only had one keyword. So let's take a look. Site, S-I-T-E, and then colon, the two little dots, one over another. And then we're going to put coal-plumbing.com. Okay, so when you run this search, it is going to tell you how many results are shown. And basically, these are all pages on the site that are showing up. So I am really suspicious why there's 79 pages that Google has indexed, but they're not ranking for any of them. You know, they were only ranking for one keyword. This site's probably got some issues, or, you know, maybe it's just getting started. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got title tags and all that. Maybe it's a case they're just getting started. Whatever it is, they just don't have traction. You're going to have a lot of more trouble pushing this guy up than if you pushed up the Gears Plumbing. So 79 for coal. Let's see what Gears has. Gears has 256 pages ranking. And notice back in SEMrush, how many keywords did they rank for? I think it was like 260. Oh, 290. So they're ranking for 292 keywords, and they've got 256 pages indexed in Google. So that's going to be a lot easier to push that guy up. If we go, let's put in the coals again, just so you can see. Coals-plumbing.com. I think there was one keyword they ranked for. Yeah, it doesn't even show that now. Let me see. Oh, coal. I got the domain wrong. Put an S in there. Okay, so coal plumbing. Yeah, one keyword. So see the difference? And I can see when the keyword started to show up here. So June. So these guys probably are really new. You know, they've probably done some preliminary SEO stuff. Maybe they put out a press release or something. They've got 37 links coming in. But they were nowhere until June. And June to, you know, the middle of June, basically they got one keyword ranking. And it's coal service Orange County, or coal services Orange County. So it doesn't have anything to do with plumbing. They don't have the traction yet. So again, that would be a bad client. That would be a bad idea. Another really bad client, let's say they put something in here. Let me just add coals here. I think this is probably gonna, yeah, see, this site here, if you put a domain in, site colon and their domain.com, and you get this, says did not find any documents, and that site exists, that tells me this site's been banned. Google has knocked this thing clean off their index, and it doesn't have a chance of ranking for anything. The only way that you would see this and have this be something that would be fixed easily if the site just didn't exist and this was a brand new site and they just hadn't indexed it yet. But if this is a site that's out and been around and you see this, that's not an SEO customer you want to take on. You want to say, no, thank you. Uh, either you have another site, or we can start from scratch. I hate starting clients out from scratch, like a brand new business. They expect the world, and it takes time. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to start a business, start a company. You've got to set up all their Google accounts, all of their stuff, all of their Google My Business, their website. You've got to optimize it. And all of this stuff is work before anything's showing up, before you're getting any results. So anyway, that's kind of how I would go about that, figuring out, is this a customer I actually want to take on, or is this one I think I'd probably be better off giving their 97 bucks back and keep looking. There is no shortage of people that you can sell this to. So don't think you have to take on everyone. That has been like throughout the last 20 years of me doing business online. That's the biggest thing I've seen that just killed entrepreneurs, is taking on the wrong customers. It'll eat you alive. There's plenty of people to choose from, and you, believe it or not, you can be picky. So like if I have a customer that's a problem or a pain in my ass, I have the conversation. I say, hey, clearly you're not happy. And if that's the case, I think we should part ways. Let me just give you your money back, and let's just call it even. I don't do long-term contracts. I don't believe in locking anybody in. That's another signal. A lot of times if you're selling SEO services that way and you're trying to get them to lock in on a contract, they're going to be backpedaling because they're feeling like they're going to get trapped. So anyway, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've got another thing that I run, the SEO Dominator Club, where I've been training people on SEO since 2008. We have a reseller version of that where we actually allow our resellers to resell our SEO services. If any of you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, feel free to hit me up if you want to get involved in that. But on that, we've been doing a call just like this on Thursdays for as long as I can remember, back to like 2008. Every week we do this. I answer everybody's questions, talk about whatever is new in SEO. And I'll tell you one thing, the biggest thing I've seen, the biggest shift and transition in SEO has been in the last few years. And it's been the whole thing with RankBrain, the shift to conversion. Back in the good old days, if you were doing SEO, you could literally drive enough traffic that you could have the crappiest conversion numbers and you'd still make money. Those days are gone. If you're not focused on conversion, if you know SEO, but you don't know conversion, you're probably going to have a very, very difficult time moving forward, unless you're working with customers that know how to convert. That's another thing. I didn't talk about this, but that's another thing I look at when I'm taking on an SEO customer. Not so much on the SitePop because it's only $97, but if I'm going to take on an actual SEO customer and I'm going to do an SEO project for them, I won't take them on unless they can pass like 3 qualifiers. And the first qualifier is, do they know who they're selling to? Do they know who their ideal client is? Do they know who's most profitable? If they don't know that, then they're not in business, and I don't really want to be their teacher. They're going to be a pain in my ass. If they do know that, and I look at their site and their site's not geared toward that, that's a conversation we need to have. That needs to be fixed, because I don't want to be driving traffic to something and be the blame for why it didn't work when they don't have any ability to convert it. And lastly, looking at the site, does it have proper calls to action? Are you just driving people there just for the sake of it? Or do you actually have a plan once you get them there? Do you have a call to action? Do you have an attention grabber that's actually going to be meaningful for that audience? A lot of you guys have multiple attention grabbers. A lot of you have like maybe one product or service, but it serves a lot of different markets. You can't send all the traffic generically to one landing page. that's a disaster. I use the example of realtors. Realtors are horrible to work with because they don't get it. You know, they know how to sell houses, but they don't know how to do business. They don't understand the front end sales techniques and be able to translate those into online. They can do it in person because it's natural, but they don't get the connection between the online. I'll give you a perfect prime example of this. If you look at almost any realtor's website, they're talking about two conversations on the same page. They're talking about buyers and sellers. Buyers have one thing in mind: getting the right house at a good price. A seller has one thing in mind: getting their house sold for the maximum amount they can get. Now, if I'm a buyer and I go onto a realtor's site and I see that kind of language in the landing page about getting max value for your house, I'm going to say that's not the right realtor for me. You know, I want somebody that's going to get me a good deal. Now, if I'm a seller and I go onto there and I see that kind of buyer language of good deal, I'm like, hell no, I'm not going with that realtor. I want the guy that's going to get me max value. So what did I do? I took all the traffic, all the prospects I had, and I took them side by side and I pushed them off the cliff, one on each side. And I've got nobody following me at the end of the day. That's a bad idea. I don't want to drive traffic into that kind of scenario. That's just like, you know, that's like lemmings flying off the cliff. You know, I want to segment my audience and I want to speak the right language. Now, a good salesperson, a good realtor, they do that in person. They'll ask you, what are you interested in? Are you here to buy a house or to sell a house? Now, if you say you're here to sell your house, they're going to immediately start talking about what's important to you. Your websites are no different. If they're not following that, you're not going to convert. You're going to be driving people away as fast as I can drive them to you. So again, it's a bad scenario. So look for that. If you've got somebody that knows how to convert, they're doing it well, and you know, and they've got traction, that's a great potential SEO customer. If not, it's probably not a good idea. So, all right. So, do you guys have any questions for me? You can feel free to unmute if you want to come out and ask me anything you want here. Okay, John is asking about Kartra. Have they addressed some of their page load issues? They are working on that. I've talked to the people at Kartra several times in the last month, and that is always a conversation of topic. They get it. They have grown so fast. They haven't really scaled up their servers on the back end to keep up with that. But they're actively working on that, and I think that's going to be solved. Okay, so last. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I bought the agency, and you said you were going to have a WordPress template to release today?
Yes, we're trying to release it today, but it might be over the weekend. That was the one I showed just a few minutes ago.
Cool.
So it's almost there. I sent it back for a couple typos, and then we're going to update the theme so all the pages look the same. But the basic structure of it's done. It's almost ready for you.
Okay, one more run at you on keywords.
Sure, absolutely.
We should start out with long tails, not necessarily with a geo modifier, correct?
It really depends on what you have traction for. Some people are going to have traction for really good generic keywords. Most people won't, but if you do, take advantage of it. Like if you run an SEMrush report and you see that you have a keyword and it's not geo modified, but it's ranking, you know, bottom of page 1 or page 2 or even page 3, I wouldn't have any problem at all using that keyword. If you're starting from scratch, and let's say you don't have anything and you're really starting from the bottom rung, you have no traction whatsoever,
right?
I would start by using your brands as keywords.
Gotcha.
I would put like the brand. I would put like the domain. I would use stuff like that, and then throw in a couple of combinations of brand plus the keyword. I mean, use it right out of the gate as the keyword itself. If you don't rank for anything, try and rank first for the easy stuff.
Gotcha.
Try and get on Google's radar and try and connect, make a connection between your brand name and the base keyword that you're trying to rank for.
Gotcha.
Because once they do that, it's like once they rank you for that one keyword, if you've got good content and you've got, your on-page stuff is done well, even if you don't have a lot of link building, they're going to give you value and they're going to rank you for a bunch of variations of that, especially if people are sending them the signals that they know you're connected to that keyword.
Cool. At the end of this webinar, can you give us a minute to, I think we can download the chat transcript. Maybe.
Yeah, I think I can do that. Let's see. I think I have a. I'm pretty sure it does when I save the video. I think it puts all that in a file for me.
We've got a save chat button in the chat box, but when you click on it, it doesn't give you any place to save a file to. So maybe it's in our what is this platform? Maybe it's in our account.
It's in Zoom. This is a Zoom account.
Maybe it saves it to our Zoom account.
It could. I'm pretty sure that when I do the save on the recording after we end the call, I'm pretty sure it's going to put it into a file for me.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. Usually I'm just grabbing the videos out, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the transcript files of the chat.
Cool. Once I get hooked up with the excuse me, audio, this is actually pretty cool system.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually, what you can do in the chat right now, if you do this, if you right click in the chat and do select all, and then you can copy it.
Gotcha.
So just for the heck of it, if you want it, make sure you do that before we end the call, and then at least you'll have a copy of it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, anybody else before we wrap up? I know I've taken you guys, you've been on here for like an hour and 45 minutes, and I have no problem with that. I'm one of these guys that I'll stay with you till the end, make sure everything is good. And I'll do more of these. I'll do another one of these probably next week for you guys. That way, once you get in and you start working with it, you'll probably come up with more questions. So anyway, I want to be here for you to make sure that it's working and you guys have the proper strategy to get the maximum out of it. Because like I said, this has been a savior to our SEO business. We worked like hell for the last couple of years to keep sites at the top, and they just kept falling. And this was the only thing that really would move the needle for us. So it's like this is something really good that you guys have access to. So anyway, all right, guys. Last chance if you got any questions, and this won't be your last chance because again, I'll do one of these next week for you, and as many as it takes to make sure that everybody's on track and get what you need out of it.
Hey, John, you gonna always do them on Fridays? Or?
Not necessarily. This was the day I had open for this week, and I didn't want to wait another week for I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of tech issues because of the updates on the platform, and I know a lot of people were really frustrated from that, and I wanted to make sure we got that addressed this week. So
we'll get email heads up.
Yeah. I'll always email you guys and let you know, as much advance notice. Usually it's a few days at least.
Great.
And they're all recorded too. If you guys have questions, let me know, and I'll make sure that I address them so you can listen to the replays.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, guys, let's wrap it up. You can all go to lunch now and have a great rest of the day. I hope this was informative and good for you. Um, like I said, I'll do more of these just to make sure that everybody's on the right track and you got everything you need. So have a great day, and we will talk to you guys very soon.